After losing my job, my husband told his mother I was a burden. She sneered. She's always been dead weight. That night, I overheard him say, "She's lucky I haven't left yet." I didn't cry. I just opened my laptop. 2 months later, he came home to an empty house and a letter that changed everything because I lost my job in November, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. I'd worked at Colorado State University for over 9 years. Admin support in the psych department. I handled everything. Budgets, schedules, reports, student issues. I was the one people came to when something fell through the cracks. When I got called into the office, I thought it was about a scheduling error. Instead, I was told the department had to downsize. Budget realignment, they said. Not performance-related, just numbers on paper, and I was one of the numbers. I nodded through the meeting. My mouth was dry. My hands shook when I signed the severance documents. I walked to my car and sat there for a long time, staring at the windshield. It was freezing. The air smelled like burned leaves and old coffee. I didn't cry. I just felt hollow. I drove home slowly. I expected Craig, my husband, to maybe be surprised. Maybe he'd hug me, or at least ask if I was okay. Instead, he didn't even pause his video game. When I told him I got laid off, he said, "Well, it sucks, I guess." That was it. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't ask what happened. He just shrugged and kept playing. I stood there for a minute, waiting. Nothing. The next few days, I kept to myself. I tried applying for jobs online. I updated my resume. Craig didn't ask how the search was going. He still expected dinner on the table and his laundry folded. He still went out every Saturday for guys' night, like nothing had changed. Then one night, I was walking past the dining room when I heard him on speakerphone with his mom. He didn't know I was home yet. I stood just outside the doorway, listening. His mom said, "I told you she'd never be able to hold her own. She's always been dead weight." And Craig replied, laughing, "She's lucky I haven't left yet. I've been carrying her for years." I didn't even flinch. I just turned around, walked to the spare room, and sat down at my laptop. That night, I created a new email. I made a new bank account. I opened an online folder and named it Exit Plan. That's when it started. Over the next 2 months, I built a second life. I found freelance work, calendar management, data entry, virtual assistant stuff. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid. I joined an online community of women who'd left bad marriages. I stayed up until 3 a.m. most nights reading their stories, learning what steps they took. Some were older than me. Some had kids. Some had nothing. But they all left. If they could, so could I. I paid attention to Craig in a way I hadn't before. I noticed how he always kept his phone close but didn't bother locking it. I noticed he started getting dressed up for errands. New cologne. A new watch I didn't recognize. I checked his Venmo one day while he was in the shower. He had 2 accounts. I watched money flow in and out, $100 here, $60 there. One account was tied to someone named Trisha. I took screenshots. I forwarded copies to my new email. Then I started moving my stuff little by little. I'd tell Craig I was going to the library or the grocery store, then swing by the storage unit and drop off a few boxes. My journals, family photos, keepsakes, anything important. I labeled them with stupid things like garage tools or Christmas junk, so if he opened it, he'd think it was his. I went silent, cold, but polite. I didn't start fights. I didn't cry. I just did my job, quietly gathering evidence, saving money, disappearing piece by piece. One day, while Craig was out with the guys, I drove to Denver and signed a lease on a small studio apartment. I paid the deposit in cash. I had the key in my purse for 3 weeks before I left. The day I left, I woke up early. Craig was still snoring. I packed my last suitcase, made a cup of coffee, and stood in the doorway of the bedroom one last time. Then I drove away. I left him a typed, 3-page letter on the kitchen table. I told him I knew about Trisha. I knew about the second Venmo account. I knew what he and his mother thought of me. I wrote that I'd gotten a remote full-time job and wouldn't be coming back. I gave him the contact info for my lawyer. I told him not to call, not to text, not to show up. The last line of the letter read, "You said I was lucky you hadn't left me. You were wrong. I was lucky I got the chance to leave you." After I left Craig, I thought the hard part was over. It wasn't. The first 2 weeks in Denver were quiet. Too quiet. I kept expecting a knock on my door or a call from some unknown number. But nothing. Just silence. I thought maybe he read the letter, accepted it, and moved on. I underestimated his ego. Week 3, I got the first email. It was from his mother. The subject line just said, "Ungrateful." The message was short. "You've humiliated my son. He took care of you, and this is how you repay him? You'll regret this." No signature. No warmth. Just venom. I didn't reply. Then Craig tried to log into my old joint bank account. I'd already emptied it legally, transferred my half into my new personal account. He tried to claim I'd stolen from him. His lawyer sent a letter.
Mine shut it down fast.
I had records. I had proof. But he wasn't giving up. A week later, I got a call from my former employer. Someone had emailed them saying I'd stolen office supplies and confidential documents. Anonymously. The HR rep sounded awkward, like they didn't believe it, but they had to check. I knew it was Craig. I had already cleared out my stuff properly, signed everything. Nothing stuck.
But still, it rattled me.
He wasn't just mad.
He wanted to ruin me.
Then came the social media posts. Craig made a new Facebook account. Started posting these vague, bitter messages. How some people bite the hand that feeds them. How users get what they deserve. He didn't name me directly, but we had mutual friends. They reached out. Some believed him. One of my old friends even messaged me, "Did you really just take off and clean out the account?" That's what he's saying. I had to explain the whole story. I sent the screenshots of Trisha, the Venmo payments, the phone logs, the letter. Silence after that. Some people just didn't want to get involved. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that Craig showed up at my new apartment. I don't know how he found me. Maybe through a friend. Maybe by tracking my car registration. He buzzed the intercom one night at 10:42 p.m. I was in bed. I heard his voice on the speaker.
Calm. Too calm.
"Hey, let's just talk. I just want to talk, okay?" I didn't answer. I turned off the lights. I waited. He stayed out there for 20 minutes. The next morning, I filed for a restraining order. My lawyer pushed for a hearing. Craig tried to fight it. Said I was overreacting, said I was unstable. But the judge saw the emails, the late-night visit, the social media campaign. The order went through. That should have been the end. But then I got a message I didn't expect from Trisha. She found me through LinkedIn of all places. Sent me a private message. Said she had no idea I was still married to Craig. Said he told her we were separated, that I had mental health issues, that he was trying to protect me from harming myself. She said she didn't believe him anymore, that she'd seen the restraining order. She wanted to talk. We met at a coffee shop near Capitol Hill. She was younger than me, prettier, too, but tired. She looked like someone who'd just woken up from a long, bad dream. And when she started telling me what Craig had said, how he painted me as unstable, needy, even abusive, I felt this deep, burning anger rise up in my chest. Not jealousy, not heartbreak, rage. He hadn't just tried to ruin me. He was trying to erase me. When Trisha and I met, I expected awkwardness, maybe even tension. But the minute we sat down, I saw the guilt in her eyes. "I didn't know," she said again. "I swear." She pulled out her phone and showed me messages Craig had sent her. Screenshots. One from just 2 months before I left him. She's depressed again. Off her meds. I'm all she has, and it's exhausting. Another the week I moved out. Finally getting space. She flipped out and stormed off. I hope she gets help. Poor thing. I sat there in that coffee shop, holding her phone, hands trembling. Not from heartbreak, but from how detailed the lies were. He didn't just make things up. He created a full alternate reality. He played the victim. He twisted my silence into proof of my instability. And he was good at it. Then Trisha said, "You should know he told me he was filing for divorce months ago. He said you didn't want to let go." He had already laid the groundwork. He expected to paint me as unhinged. He thought if I ever spoke up, no one would believe me. That's when I knew he wasn't just trying to win. He was preparing for war. I thanked Trisha and asked her to send me the screenshots. She did. Every message, every voice memo, even a photo of a Valentine's Day card he gave her while still sleeping in bed next to me. I took all of it to my lawyer. She was quiet as she read. Then she said, "We're going after him." But here's where it really turned. A week later, Trisha called me again. Her voice was shaking. "You need to know something else." She'd done some digging. Turns out, Craig had been borrowing money. Not from banks, from people, friends, co-workers, even one of her cousins, all under the pretense of helping his sick wife or paying legal bills from a fake separation. He'd pulled in close to $18,000 that way. Promises to repay once the divorce goes through. None of it was true. She was scared. She didn't want her name tied to it, but she was willing to testify if it came to it. Then I remembered something from our joint taxes 2 years ago. A deduction Craig insisted on claiming, something about a consulting loss. I never understood it, but I trusted him. I asked my lawyer to pull the records.
She did.
It wasn't just bad ethics. It was fraud. Craig had been listing fake business expenses, fake losses, and had claimed multiple deductions under different LLCs that didn't exist. The IRS hadn't caught on yet, but the paper trail was there. All of it. Suddenly, my divorce case wasn't just emotional. It was criminal. My lawyer filed new motions. We amended our claims. Trisha signed a sworn affidavit. Craig still hadn't hired real legal help. He thought I'd fold. He didn't know I was already in contact with a forensic accountant. And then, 2 days before our next court hearing, I got a call from his mother. Voicemail. Her voice cracked halfway through. "I hope you're happy. You're destroying him. He's not perfect, but this is revenge. And I won't forgive you." That's when I realized they still didn't get it. This wasn't revenge. This was exposure. The day of the final hearing, I wore a plain black dress.
No makeup. No jewelry.
I wanted the judge to see me as I was, tired, steady, and done. Craig walked in 15 minutes late, alone. He looked smaller than I remembered, puffy around the eyes, suit wrinkled. He still thought he could talk his way out. He didn't know what was coming. The judge asked for opening remarks. My lawyer stood up and laid everything out, not just the divorce grounds, but the financial abuse, the fraud, the harassment. She submitted the screenshots, the emails, the fake business filings. Then she introduced Trisha, who had come in through a side door. Craig's jaw actually dropped when he saw her. She took the stand.
Calm. Clear.
She told the truth. Every ugly piece of it. She told the court how Craig lied to her, used her, and dragged her into a mess she never consented to.
She didn't cry.
She didn't waver. When Craig tried to speak, he fumbled. He stammered about misunderstandings and personal struggles. The judge shut him down quickly. "This isn't about heartbreak, Mr. Leeds. This is about deceit." That day, the judge ruled in my favor on every count. I was awarded the majority of our remaining assets, including the car and what was left of our joint savings. Craig was ordered to pay spousal support for a minimum of 24 months, based on the false claims he made about my mental health that directly impacted my employability and reputation. But that wasn't the worst part for him. The court forwarded findings to the IRS and State Tax Board. An audit was triggered. The consulting losses, the fake LLCs, the false deductions. They were all flagged. He would be investigated, and there was a strong chance of fines or even charges depending on what came out of the audit. My lawyer said, "This isn't just expensive. It could follow him for years." He also received a no-contact order that extended past the divorce. He was barred from messaging me, following me, or showing up at my residence for a full 2 years. As we walked out of the courthouse, he tried one last thing. He caught up to Trisha in the hallway. "Can we just talk?" he asked, desperate.
She didn't stop walking.
I already did, she said, to the judge. I walked out into the cold Denver air and felt something lift from my shoulders. Not happiness. Not quite. Just peace. Like I'd finally stopped carrying the weight of someone else's shame. Back in my apartment, I took out the letter I'd written the night before.
It was addressed to me.
A reminder. You are not dead weight. You are not crazy. You are not a burden. You are free. I pinned it to the inside of my closet door. Every time I open it, I remember the version of me that almost forgot what she was worth. Craig? Last I heard, he sold his truck to cover early legal costs. His mother stopped calling. Trisha moved out of state. He's alone now, and under a spotlight he can't dim. And me? I got a new job, remote, stable, respected. I sleep through the night. I eat when I'm hungry. I laugh sometimes too. Revenge wasn't fire and fury. It was quiet. It was walking away with everything he thought I'd never find again. Myself.